Hey everyone, welcome to my 7th episode of Harmony Rising, right? A sanctuary where peace, presence, and purpose rise together. I'm Ashley, and this is an episode, it's an invitation to slow down, breathe deeper, and come home to yourself. So let's go ahead and begin. Here in Harmony Rising, it's all about us really connecting deeper to ourselves. And I'm just so grateful that you're here. Here in episode 7, it's going to be all about belonging, the identity in the middle years. And so this is going to be really us talking about the ages between 6 and 12 today. So before we jump into our episode 7, you know that we like to really talk about the reflection prompts from the week before. And this really gives us time to really reflect on those intentional moments in our life before. So last week we talked about what made you feel safe and comforted as a child, and how were your emotions responded to when you were overwhelmed as a child. Growing up, I had something so beautiful called a yaya, which was my mom. So my mom was the type of mom who she just really, her whole sole purpose in life, she wanted to be a wife and a mother. And so when I think of, was I safe as a child? Did I feel comforted as a child? 100% I did, right? I was raised with a mom who just really loved allowing me to flourish and thrive, as crazy and wild as I was. I was that very hyper child, and she just was like, letting me dance, jump from the top of the tree, whatever it was that I felt that I needed to do in that moment. My mom was the type of mom who supported me in doing so. Always told me, I could accomplish anything that I set my mind to, and really helped me figure out how to be comfortable in my skin at a really young age. And so when I think of how my emotions were responded to when I was overwhelmed, well, I guess it just depends what parent I was dealing with, right? I had a mom who would, help me regulate. And then I had a father who just probably couldn't regulate his own emotion, right? And so where for him, I was probably a little too much to handle. For my mom, she always made sure that I was just enough. So it's very interesting when you look about the dynamic and the power plays of relationships and the roles that they play, and not only your upbringing, but even if you look at the dynamics and like how I raise my children today, right? Like I have a young son who's 4 years old, who's extremely hyper, reminds me of myself. And I find myself telling him a lot of the times like, hey, you're doing too much. And then I tell myself like, is that the right verbiage? I'm human. And he is doing too much. So maybe that isn't the best verbiage, but it's the verbiage I'm using today, right? And so you can only do the best you can sometimes with what you got. And you got to give yourself grace too, as we're raising kids in today's world as well, right? So without further ado, let's jump into today's episode. So today's episode's all about belonging, the identity in the middle years. And like I said, we're focusing in on the ages of 6 and to 12 years old, right? And this one's really meaningful because it holds some of the earliest clues about who you believe you needed to be in order to belong. Think about that. When we look to why some of us make some of the bad decisions we do in life, it truly can simply come down to just the sense of belonging. Some even use the need of belonging to influence an outcome, regardless if it's best for you, and continue to do so throughout your life. So you could even be being manipulated through the sense of yearning and the wanting to belong to something so bad that you don't even realize you're being manipulated because of that. Right? A lot of cults use this sense of belonging to secure their following. So some of you who might have had a cult background, that you can find this in a lot of extreme beliefs, but a lot of people who have been brainwashed, also people use this influential manipulation in this sense of belonging to get people to follow them. This can also be used in narcissistic relationships. If you're married to a narcissist, or if you're in a relationship or have been before with one, you'll also notice that they utilize a lot of this psychological influence in their relationships. So if you're someone who you've noticed you tie yourself a lot to these folks and these relationships in your life, you might want to maybe let's go back to where you were in your life between the ages of 6 and 12 and identify how well did you compare yourself to others between the ages of 6 and 12, because really what happens to you at this age in your life is this is where you really start to compare your experiences to other people. This is why the need to belong becomes so strong for us at this age, right? So pay attention to that. It's really up to us to identify the patterns and make sure we are belonging in the space that truly aligns with who we are. During these formative years, they shape our confidence, they shape our self-worth. It helps us with our sense of identity, how our relationships are in comparison to others. It helps with our understanding of friendships and what those mean, what we value. It can also help with our desire to fit in or even our desire to stand out. Like I come across people who it's like, wow, you so blatantly want to go against the grain and stand out, right? Like you just have been born to stand out. So I've met people like that too, right? So obviously, before we start any of these practices, we want to be very intentional to ensure that our breath work is in place. So go ahead and just breathe with me for a little bit here. Let's just begin to breathe gently. Take a slow breath in and a soft breath out. Sometimes when we start knocking on the door of our past, we can get a little rattled, right? So let's let our body settle into this moment. In Breaking Patterns and Building Peace, I wrote, this is often the age where comparison enters our experience. Before this part of our life, we have never thought about other people's experiences. I never thought about my neighbor and what they experience compared to what I experience. But now I want to know what Susie is experiencing compared to what I am experiencing, or what James is experiencing compared to my experience, right? And so now I'm thinking about other people in comparison to my experience. And it's true, before this, we were just content with just having our own experience. But now that we start noticing others, our scope starts to enhance slightly. And even though our lens may still only be focused from our own viewpoint, we might still only be able to see things through our own lens. It's now including other people's perspectives, right? Or other people's experiences. So middle childhood is when you start noticing these differences, right? We start seeing who's faster on the playground. Who's the smarter kid in the classroom, right? Who's the person who can read without stuttering over those big words? It's still not me, by the way. I still can't read without stuttering over the big words with all the long syllables. Who's the one who's liked the most, right? Who's the popular kid? Who's the one who seems chosen amongst the society, right? Who's the one who's left out that nobody picks to be part of the softball team? It's when you become when you start to understand these social dynamics, right? That you're like, oh, I don't want to be the kid that nobody picks. I don't want to be the kid that's left out on the sidelines, right? I don't want to be the kid that's bullied. I don't want to be the kid that's picked on. So you start to create these comparisons, and then you're like, oh, I don't want to be that kid that people make fun of. It's when you start forming these clear pictures of who you are that in your mind subconsciously you now are framing who you think you need to be. So if I don't want to be the person that people pick on, then I need to be this and I need to be that and I need to do this and I need to do that. And so now you've created this whole framework in your mind of, okay, now this is who Ashley needs to come out here and be, right? And this is what I need to do. So these are not just about learning. I have now sculpted my sense of belonging. And if I want to not be that person or not be that person or be this person, well, these are all the things I need to do to belong. And that is psychologically how all of that fits together, right? And belonging is one of the deepest human needs we have. That's why people like Trump get these huge followings. That's why you got these people who will ride around with the big flags on the back of their truck. Or people who will say, hey, Black Lives Matter, and they'll put the sticker on the back, right? Or you'll have people who will wear the t-shirts, LGBTQ plus, rainbow, right? Or you'll have anything. People will love to stand up for the cause. It's not necessarily for the cause or they want to march and they want to say, hey, it's because I stand for something. I matter. We matter. This matters. I belong. We belong. It's this belonging, this sense, this human need for connection. We're humans. It is innate. It's within our being, right? Because we as a human, we can connect to something. It's who we are at our core. We need to stand for something bigger than ourselves, and it's this sense of belonging. But what you have to ask yourself is does that sense of belonging, whatever it is that you're connecting to, is it aligning with truly who you are, or is it who the world told you you need to be? I can't answer that for you. I can't answer that for you. No one can answer that for you. You got to look inside of yourself and answer that for yourself. So as you know, when you're digging deep within yourself and you're tripping over your traumas and your truths and your reality, this is really what you need to ask yourself. And understand what's happening inside of you during these years, because you were learning where do I fit in? Who accepts me? What makes me feel seen? What makes me feel invisible? What do I need to do to be liked? What parts of me feel like I'm too much? What parts of me feel like I'm not enough? These questions, they just weren't spoken. These aren't things that you need to understand. These are things that were felt of part of your existence. And that's what kind of makes them true. That's what makes it part of your story. And these are what shaped your friendships with yourself, with teachers, with authority, with your siblings, with your parents, with the environments that you've moved through, right? In Everyday Empathy, I talk about how connection, it shapes our emotional world. And in the empathy element, I talk about how perception, and especially early perception, shapes the way we view our self-leadership. How do you view yourself as a leader, regardless if you're in a leadership capacity for a living or not? How do you view yourself as a leader? Are you someone who can lead yourself through crisis? These are where most of these perceptions begin. Maybe you were the child who just wanted to blend in. You didn't want to draw attention to yourself. Maybe you were the person who stood out. You were loud and intentional. Some may even say you were fearless. Maybe you were just the helper and always putting other people first. Maybe you were the quiet one or always the funny one. Maybe you were the achiever or the sensitive one. Maybe you were the person who was independent, the one who tried to be perfect or the one who tried not to be a burden. These roles, they just weren't random. They were responses. These were responses to your environment, responses to what was celebrated in your life, responses to what was ignored in your life. These were responses to what felt safe. And most of all, these were roles that still echo in your adult life today. So today, I want to guide you through a gentle visualization, one that's going to help you reconnect with this middle childhood self with compassion and understanding, okay? This is going to be called belonging visualization. This is only going to take a few minutes, so go ahead and close your eyes for me now. As you know, everything leads with breath, so let's go ahead and let's slow our breathing down. Let's let our shoulders soften. And what I'd like for you to do, if your eyes are closed, I just want you to imagine where you feel fully welcomed. A space where you feel fully seen. A space where you feel fully accepted as you are. It could be a room. It could be a field. Maybe it's just a memory that you have, or a place that only exists in your imagination. But it's going to be a place where you are accepted just as you are. And you see yourself walking into this space, not as an adult, but as that child, as that 6 to 12-year-old version of yourself. Now, as this person enters, bouncing around, notice how they look around. Notice how they feel. Now imagine that everyone in this space turns towards them with warmth, with acceptance, with kindness, and with recognition. Let your younger self feel what it's like to belong without effort, without performance, without shrinking, and without trying. Just belonging because they exist. And let that feeling wash over you. Now whisper internally to yourself, I belong exactly as I am. Because you do. I belong exactly as I am. You always do, and you always did. You're just now learning to question it. You can come back and do visualization techniques over and over again, something as simple as 30 seconds, some a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, spending time with yourself, relearning your mind, retraining your brain, right? Like, our realities are what we choose to make it. Sometimes we need to reflect on our experiences to understand ourselves a little deeper and spend time with another version of ourselves to see the new perspective and gain insight as to why we move the way we do, or if we want to make a different decision, how we can do so. By healing these wounds, we not only take back this narrative, but we also get to determine what belonging looks like for us now. For me, I prioritize peace over chaos. I don't partake in drama simply because it doesn't serve me or the life I'm building. What about you? As usual, here are our 2 reflection prompts for this week. Sit with them, meditate on them. You should enjoy this journey, getting to know yourself at a deeper level, past the surface and everyday hustle, and truly devote the time needed to heal these layers of yourself. You didn't need to realize, that you needed this until today. And that's okay. It's okay that you are choosing to put yourself first now. So where did you feel included during these years? And where did you feel unseen or left out? And how did that shape you into who you are today? Let your answers come softly, let them come honestly, and let them come with compassion. Thank you for being here with me today. Thank you for honoring the child who's learning to belong. Thank you for choosing healing one gentle moment at a time. And as you move through your day, remember, belonging is not something you earn, it's something that you deserve. So until next time, this is Harmony Rising, and I'm so glad that you're here. Thank you for spending time with me today. And if today's episode supported you, grounded you, or helped you reconnect with yourself, I'd love for you to share it with someone who might need it too. And remember, peace is a practice, presence is a choice, and you are always worthy of coming home to yourself because that's the purpose of it all. Until next time, see ya.